Hey there, guys. This is Danny Jackson trying to bring you some alternatives that I have come up with. And so we're going to flip through some screens. Unfortunately, some things are mixed, but I'll do the best I can. So, of course, my favorite is FETs. And if you look at the FET website, you can pick any topic you want, right? So, earth science, bio, physics, chem. I'm, of course, going to pick the chem. You can see that most of them are HTML5 now, which is nice. And the cool thing about FETs, let me pick one of them. So if I'm going to go for acid-base solutions, if you sign in as a teacher, okay, you can download resources. So these are basically lab write-ups, and you can contribute one if you have one. You can download one and use one. If you need to modify it, you can just make your copy and then do what you need to it. So there's sort of guided inquiries using the FETs, or you can write your own. A lot of times I've taken these and started with something from here and either broken it up because of the distance learning or cut out pieces that I didn't feel were appropriate for my level of kids or my time frame. So each one of the different things might have a different number of resources with it, but you want to go to the for teachers arrow and look. I just didn't sign in, so I'm not going to click on any of these, but you can see there's some even in Spanish. I find that the FETs themselves are very user-friendly. You can do the intro. For me, I incorporated this in with the kids working with some Lego kits that I had made through Donors Choose grant. And so I asked them to do the balancing and to then, once it says yay, then I wanted them to do this, but with Lego so that it was three-dimensional and take some pictures of it, make a little stop motion animation of how it got from here to there. You can build on it, or you can just keep it super straightforward. You can always get home to the FET website by going to the corner and going back and searching again. So it's very easy to use. You can ask them to use them as supplemental things, or you can actually build your lab around them. You just want to make sure that they can work on the HTML5, runs in all of the browsers. Most of the other ones the kids have issues with, but that one seems to work, and I tend to use Google Chrome. So that's FET. I was very disappointed that with Flash Player dying, ChemThink had some great resources for, trying to get back to that, there we go. Some great resources for lots of simulations that I had used last year. And the one, of course, that I need, which is this Precipitate Lab, you will see does not have HTML5 version next to it, so it will not work. So you can go to simbucket.com, and you will find some of them have been converted. So I assume that as time goes on, they will convert more of them. But unfortunately, the Precipitate Lab that I want to do right now is not converted. And if you look through, there's a bunch of them here, but the ones that are HTML converted are at the top. I did find this chemical reactions one, and there's a gas law one. So those are 2 units that might come up for you here in the spring. And if you go to the gas law one, it will let you run through a tutorial. So it's less like a simulation and more like walking them through notes that you might want them to take or to see how something works. It interacts. They can decide to change parameters and what they put into the bin. So I just put a bunch of helium in, and I can raise the temperature and see what happens. A lot of times what I have done is have them take a screenshot of what they're working on. So on a PC, it's Shift Windows key S, this comes up and I can decide like, oh, I want them to show me 3 successive pictures. I would take that as my screenshot number 1. I might turn the heat up and then take another screenshot and see if it changed, and then take the really fast one and take another screenshot. Sometimes the screenshotting works better than others. So you want to use it appropriately. Sorry, basketball team in the hallway. So the Sims, you can add different things to them. They can do all sorts of cool stuff with them, and then they can answer questions so that you can really see if they understand as they go along. So that's the gas laws one, and this would be the page that you would click on to get to that. You can download the resources behind it and give them a worksheet to work through with it. Again, nice resource that gives you that. You don't have to write it yourself. New Path Learning I found recently, and this has a number of chemistry things. Coworker said the gas law one works through Boyle's Law, Charles' Law, and Gay-Lussac's Law. I personally haven't tried it yet, but if you explore curriculum and go to high school, you can pick whichever content area you are. Again, I'm chemistry. It's got some good and some bad, and sometimes it will want you to sign in, but you just X out of that, and it lets you move on. So right now I have my kids working on this chemical reactions one, and I open it.
A physical change involves a...
And it'll go through all the tutorial along with a lab. Where's the lab? Here, the evidence, the virtual lab. So you can do the tutorials, or you can do this, and so they can make different combinations and see which ones do something. So if I do aluminum and zinc and I combine them, they can see that nothing happens. Whereas if they pick aluminum and iodine and combine them, they will see something different. I made a lab sheet to go with it so they could document all their observations when something happened and when it didn't. And I'll expand on that and make them tell me what the products are in our second part of that process. So that seems to be pretty helpful. This is the screen that pops up. I just close it and then reopen the app, the little tab, and it goes past that. If you're a bio person, there's a number of things there. If you're a physics person or an earth science person, so there's a lot of opportunity. And there is a bunch of middle school stuff, so if you need to scaffold, you might be able to use the middle school stuff and then build to the high school stuff. That's another option. And lastly, I was trying to get this one to work, but it wasn't seeming to load. But ChemSims comes up with these 8 options. So solubility and gases were the 2 I was going to try to use. Today, for some reason, it wasn't loading for me. But I have had it load in the past. And so I hope to be able to use a combination of these things to supplement some of the hands-on activities I normally would have done. And then, of course, all the things that in Flash Player that I was using this fall that I can't use anymore, I'm trying to slowly find alternatives to. So I hope that was helpful. If you need any more information, please feel free to contact me. My email is djackson@osningufsd.org. Thanks.